Sidious took Grogu during Order 66 and I'll explain why. We know Grogu was at the temple because Ahsoka told the Mandalorian that Grogu was raised in the Jedi Temple and that many masters trained him over the years, and that at the end of the Clone Wars before the Empire rose to power, he was hidden. Someone took him and his memory becomes dark. We know Sidious was at the Jedi Temple after Anakin massacred everyone in it with the 501st, and after Anakin has left to do Sidious's wishes by going to Mustafar and executing all the separatist leaders, Sidious could have searched and perhaps found Grogu. Sidious was always obsessed over the idea of having a more powerful apprentice, and although Anakin was basically the apprentice he always wanted, and his potential far outmatched the likes of Dooku and more, perhaps he thought killing Grogu was a waste because of how strong in the Force he was, and decides to keep him around as a backup in case something ever happened to Darth Vader. And even though there's only meant to be a master and an apprentice at one time, maybe Sidious scrapped this idea because it wouldn't have mattered anymore, as the Sith's plan had been achieved. Now, how did Sidious find out about Grogu anyway, as Yoda must have kept him a secret and only allowed potentially the Council and his most trusted friends to know about him? Perhaps from Dooku. Now, Yoda was Dooku's master until he became a highly skilled Jedi Master himself and one of his closest friends, and my guess is perhaps Dooku knew Grogu and trained him seeing as he was trusted by Yoda. I think Dooku would have told Sidious about Grogu, considering how big of a secret this would have been and how he seen firsthand just how powerful the child truly was. This would interest Sidious a great deal, as Dooku was never meant to be a permanent apprentice, and to have an apprentice as the same species as Yoda would be even more satisfying considering how much he hated Yoda, and to take Grogu away from him and training him in the dark side and watch him grow into a Sith Lord would be even more pleasing than just killing him. Imagine Sidious tortured and manipulated the child into becoming a Sith Lord, making him give in to his fear, which is the path to the dark side. As Grandmaster Yoda said, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. Can you imagine Grogu, Dark Lord of the Sith? Or perhaps he would have used him for his blood and raw ability in the Force to get closer to achieving his goal of immortality, as he knew he wouldn't be able to use just anyone, and he needed someone like Grogu, who has a very high M count. Grogu's ability in the Force was significantly more powerful than what it is in The Mandalorian, as he had to hide and almost forget all of his powers in order to survive. But what I'm thinking is, he was found and taken from the temple by Sidious, and was used and experimented on for a very long time, where Sidious used his genes to further his goals until Grogu somehow escaped from the clutches of the Emperor, perhaps with help from another Force user, maybe Mace Windu, who could have survived the Force lightning and the impact of the fall from Palpatine's office, and could have tracked Grogu down to rescue him. Perhaps a discussion for another video. Now, Sidious's clone son in episode 9 could have been created using Grogu's blood, which means he must have been made sometime in between Revenge of the Sith and Empire Strikes Back, which makes me come to the conclusion that Sidious was trying to clone himself for a very long time, and trying to find different ways to put his mind and Force powers into a clone. If he did take him, this would allow him to run tests on him and experiment as much as he wanted with his blood. Perhaps this is the only reason Sidious kept Grogu alive, so he could extract as much of his blood as he wanted, so he could achieve his goal of cloning himself. And in order to do this, they needed to keep him alive, as they knew his blood had the perfect M count, which made him the perfect candidate for the experiments. But because he was so small, there just wasn't enough of it for all the trials, so the experiments took longer because they couldn't extract a lot of his blood in case he died, which meant the trials would take a longer time to do. But that didn't mean they didn't try with other things as well, to try and speed up the progress. But they definitely knew that if they killed Grogu, they wouldn't find another Force user with the kind of blood the child had. This is why Sidious couldn't have used any Force user to achieve his goal, Makes you think if he would have tried to use Anakin's blood if he never lost to Obi-Wan and Mustafar. That's if Anakin would have allowed him. The only other option is if he was taken by another Force user and was kept safe until he was captured by the Empire. But why would his memory go dark if he was with another Jedi? Surely the Force user would care enough for him to go rescue him as the temple is getting attacked by Darth Vader and the 501st. Unless he wiped his memory to hide his abilities from the Empire, and that's why it goes dark. Or did Sidious wipe it so no one discovered what he was using the child for in case he somehow escaped? So did Sidious take Grogu to train him as a backup in case something ever happened to Vader? Or did he take him to drain his blood for his high power in the Force to serve his goal of immortality? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Who you think could have took Grogu? Could it have been Sidious? Maybe Mace? Or perhaps someone we haven't even met before? Thanks everyone for watching this video. I'll see you in the next episode, and until then, this was Star Wars Luke. Have a great day, and may the Force be with you.